evening. Call the June 13th, 2023 Murraysville Planning Commission meeting to order. Will you please all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Patty, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Lemke, Ms. Hoy, Mr. Midal,
Here.
Mr. Patrick,
Here.
Mr. Olszewski,
Here.
Mr. Carnes,
Here.
Mr. Levecki.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. We have minutes from May the 9th. Any comments or corrections to the minutes
No comments, Bob.
presented? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a period for public comment. I assume you're going to be up later. Okay, old business is a discussion of the short-term rental ordinance for the municipality. And that's in your Dropbox. And this was discussed last meeting, and I think everybody was kind of in favor of it as presented. We just needed some proofreading of it. And is there any comments or corrections, any comments, I guess, to the ordinance as presented?
Yeah, I have a comment, Bob. It says that the, do I have a feedback here? Am I hearing feedback?
You do, yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll go here.
What section are you?
Page 1, okay, B, down at the bottom, scope.
Yes.
This chapter shall not apply to hotel, motel, inn, bed and breakfast, boarding house, or group home, as defined within the zoning ordinance. Obviously, they're covered somewhere else in our ordinances.
In the zoning ordinance.
Okay. And then item C there. Use is only permitted in the B and mixed unit. That means this is not applicable to the R districts?
Correct. It's the only place, there's only 2 districts where they're permitted.
Okay,
It's being proposed as such.
okay, okay.
Okay?
How about, and the last question I got, how about people who exchange houses? They're not renting, they're just exchanging houses.
I'm not sure I know what you mean by
Okay, I have a friend in Augusta, Georgia, and I want to go visit him, okay? But he has family, I want to go down to Augusta. Okay, he has family up here north in Pittsburgh area, so I'm going to live in his house and he's going to live in my house for a week. No agreement, just verbal, everything verbal. Is that legit under this?
how would we ever know?
Yeah, okay.
Really, I guess the source of most of the participating houses in this come from advertising. I don't think you would necessarily advertise an exchange. But B&Bs are advertised generally on the internet.
Yeah, and I don't see this. This
I
isn't
don't see it
something
as
the
a big deal, really.
municipality is going to be
No.
actively policing, scouring VRBO
Yeah.
on a daily basis. But
The only reason it would be if somebody did have family up here, or one of the reasons.
if there's a problem, if someone runs into a problem and neighbors are complaining,
Yeah, that's right.
and when people are in and out.
No problem. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any other comments on this? Okay.
This is
I have a-
not, excuse me, I just want to clarify, this is not an amendment to the zoning ordinance, this is an amendment to the code, a new chapter in the code. And it's for 30 days or less. And it would be an administrative function.
It's not in the zone, why isn't it in the zone, a part of the zoning ordinance?
It was set up as a separate section in the code, in the Murraysville Code. This is not an amendment to the zoning ordinance.
So this would be a whole new chapter.
That's correct. As stated in the an ordinance adding Chapter 219 to the Code of the Municipality of Murraysville.
Okay. If there are no further comments, I have a motion to recommend approval of this to council.
I move to recommend this to council, Bob.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is an advisory for a 5-lot subdivision by Green Space Realty. This is on Logan's Ferry R2 zoning. Mr. Altmeyer, I assume you're representing the client.
Yes, I am. Thank you. My name is Brian Almeter with the firm of Farringer McCarty Gray, representing the applicant and the landowner here. If I may, and I think Planning Commission is already aware of the property, it's Parcel C, which is the sort of the remaining undeveloped property of Clifton Vista. It contains about 19 acres of property. It was before the Planning Commission over the last year or so, I'm going to say, for a rezoning application from R1 to R2, which was, my understanding, was approved a couple of months ago by council. The property fronts generally on Logan Ferry Road, surrounded by Franklin Town and the nursing home at the corner of Franklin Town and Logan's Ferry, as well as the backside of Clifton Vista. The goal here is to subdivide the property into 5 lots that meet the R2 zoning requirements, 20,000 square feet, 90-foot lot widths, 40-foot setbacks, and the necessary side yards. And right now, the owners, the partners of the property, would like to build 1 and possibly 2 homes. The remaining would be available, not necessarily actively marketed until they live there, and because they're going to be living there. It's their personal residence. This is not a typical subdivision for I know our firm, where a developer has bought a piece of ground and is ready to sell as many lots as they can and as quickly as they can. So it's somewhat unique that the intent is to create the lots in order to build their own personal homes on the properties. The minor subdivision, as I mentioned, is proposed 5 lots, 2 fronting on Logan Ferry Road, somewhere in the 160 to 180 foot wide, 190 foot deep. They could have access off of Logan's Ferry Road or the existing driveway that serviced the original house on the property, house, barn, and I think there was some wood storage shed there. The remaining 3 lots, 3, 4, and 5, are toward the rear of the property and have a significant slope coming down from Franklin Town. So there's relatively small area there to build a home. That's the intention of the partners now, to build somewhere on where the barn used to be or is today.
Excuse me, Brian.
Yes.
They're interested in building on which lots, 1 and 2?
No,
4 and 5.
3, 4, or 5, or the upper lots, the furthest ones away from Logan's Ferry Road. And the intent is to access those via a private right-of-way, private area that's basically already there with the driveway. So that's the intent. The utilities would come from Logan's Ferry Road, the sanitary sewer in Logan's Ferry Road, that we would come up in between the lots, service all of the proposed lots. We haven't worked out all the details on how water gets accessed, but we would, in theory, think that they would probably follow the driveway. Gas, electric is already there. So we would just work with the various utility companies to gain access for those. We know we need to do a sewage facilities planning module. We did meet with Jim and Emily and walk through some of the items that we know are needed. One of the questions that we had was the approval processes and the procedures. We think that the plan falls under a minor subdivision because it's 5 lots or less. But there also is a caveat about being a major land development because the lots are greater, and we know the homes are going to be bigger than, under your definition of major land development, is any home or structure or pavement in excess of 1,500 square feet. Now, that seems really small to me. For a major land development, I don't know how many years I've been coming here, but I don't know if I've ever seen a house out in the middle of Murraysville somewhere that's bigger than 1,500 square feet that would come before Planning Commission and Council as a major land development, but that's your definition in your subdivision and land development code. So that's one thing I was sort of trying to figure out. How do we get approval of we know how to get approval of the 5-lot subdivision, but how much more information does Murraysville need in order to gain approval to be able to construct?
Well, you're going to have to put in a private road right-of-way to some standard, and that's, I'm not sure, what do you have there, a 30-foot?
It's 30 foot wide. The gravel driveway is probably 10 to 12 foot wide now.
Well, it's going to have to be bigger, you know that, because you got to consider traffic 2 ways. You got to consider emergency vehicle access, fire trucks, EMS people.
Yeah, I would, not to interrupt you, but there towards the back, it probably should have some sort of a
Cul-de-sac.
T, maybe even a T, instead of a cul-de-sac, you know, for turnaround for emergency access, I would think.
Okay, no, I understand that, and that's sort of the reason why we're coming here. Is again, it's a little atypical for us as our firm, I know, but I know it happens all the time. So I'm just trying to check those boxes off of what you as Planning Commission and Jim is.
You're gonna have to, you know, do stormwater and ENS plan and all the usual.
But I guess that was another, how much? I mean, I understand if we have a house plan and a grading plan, if we're only grading the driveway out to make it wider and improve that part of it, do we show rectangles and just arbitrary grading for a home? Is that what you want to see in order to determine
That's what the conservation district's going to want to see.
I mean, I don't even know if you need to go to the length of putting a box on there, just grading the pad out. I mean, typically on a subdivision plan, we don't even put a rectangle.
But you show some grading.
But we show the grading for the pad and show, and then, you know.
But if there's no grading for if there's really no, when I say no grading, meaning
Yeah.
no bulk earth moving to create a bench for a house, because I don't know what a homeowner is going to want, let's say on lot 1, which is, you know, like the one closest to Logan's Ferry Road. We've all seen modern looking houses that they step down the hill and there's very little grading. I don't think that the owner is necessarily going to do a bunch of bulk earth moving on a you know, like for example, if it was sold today as one lot, they could site a house there now, and other than the definition of major land development, they could probably come in and pull a building permit right now.
Well,
And it may very well happen if these lots were already here, let's say, before I'm coming here tonight, is if these were already there and somebody came in with a unique house style, they may not grade as much as what I envision the grading to be.
Well, I know that the Conservation District requires, even for one lot where you have a long driveway, they require full-blown ENS.
Right.
And if it's more than an acre, then you're into NPDS. Sorry, I would advise you to go over there and talk to Mr. Pillsbury
Yeah, okay.
and company.
I mean, I don't know that anyone's going to necessarily beat you up too much.
Right.
And it can be, I mean, I understand it's a phase, it's going to somewhat of a phase thing because it's 5 individual lots. You're going to come in and put the driveway in. I would assume you're going to have some ENS controls for that.
Right.
Maybe you could get away with an ENS plan using the typical house lot ENS detail, for the house lot instead of
Just to have it as a placeholder, because again,
yes.
who knows?
It may never
Been
get
involved with
sold.
families where the parents buy 5 lots and think that their kid's going to want to move into them, and hold on to it until they get old enough to realize they don't, or they do want to move in next to them.
I think the bigger concern is just making sure everything's kosher with stormwater management, making some assumptions. Obviously you're taking some impervious out with the barn and house, you're putting some back in and, some additional houses. If you make some assumptions on the house sizes and address that, whether it be on, each one has their own thing on lot.
Yeah, we were thinking that just because
It makes sense.
the burden of 5 for one common versus each individual were responsible for their own system. The only curveball would be is if there's something specific for the driveway, depending on how that's finally laid out. But
Maybe that's the
our thinking
trade-off.
would be that it would be on a home-by-home basis because of, again, the size, if we're going up, down.
Well, you're going to have, like Chris said, you can come up with some typical. I mean, it's not that difficult. Everything slopes
Goes downhill. It's gravity. Mother Nature does its thing.
I mean, I would be looking to make some assumptions that the impervious area you're taking out, that's back on with the barn and house and whatnot on lot 3 and 4 would offset the proposed driveway. So then that way you truly are dealing with something on each lot.
Yeah, ideally, I think from the bigger picture, the rate control is probably not that difficult to just with the improvements. It would be the minor volume control and infiltration and tree planting and those types of things that you would get credits for.
How would lots 1 and 2 be accessed?
Depending on the buyer, they could come off the private driveway. They do front on Logan's Ferry. It's pretty steep there, but depending on what that buyer would like to do, maybe they can have a two-tiered home where you're coming in a lower level and walking up. Not current market conditions, but you never know who might want something like that. So it's open. Let's put it this way: it's open to the buyer in the future.
Well, okay, and lot 1, 2, 3, I guess. Why is it so narrow compared to lot 4?
Bluntly, the topography. That lot is actually probably the most buildable out of all of them. 3. So that seemed to make the most sense to narrow that one up. 4 has fairly good topography coming down from Franklintown and then going toward the back. It's the nose of the hill that comes out of the corner. So I didn't bring the contours, but the contours come in across here. So this buildable area is probably more at the end of the current driveway. So we need a little bit more width there just to allow for some different home configurations and maybe patios, retaining walls, those types of things.
Well, I think you're going to have to give, even though this is a private road, we've been down this road many times in this municipality with emergency vehicle access. So, you know, that having a sharp, it's not a 90 degree, but a sharp bend like that, you're going to have to take into account some sort of a radius. And as Chris mentioned, some sort of a turnaround at the end that everybody deems adequate.
Yeah.
And, you know, and one of the big concerns is since this all flows downhill, down that private road right away, you know, how are you going to control stormwater down it, you know, coming down off the hill?
Right, right. It's almost a high point on Logan's Ferry, but there will be water obviously coming down the driveway and hitting the road.
Right.
Have you guys looked at what storm drain is along the street there yet? At this point?
I haven't looked lately, I'll be honest with you. We did notice that the mapping did show an inlet in front of the single-family home, which I think flows to the bridge or the crossing underneath Logan Ferry Road at the low point. There's not much of a drainage swale on the high side of Logan's Ferry on this side of the property. It may be that we look at setting that back a little bit and adding a pipe in there to help facilitate drainage and where we bring stormwater to. Again, sanitary we know is in the Logan Ferry. I think that'll be physically it'll be the property for these.
And also, you know, you're going to need some kind of agreement with MAWC for water service, which I'm betting they're going to tell you to run some 6-inch pipe up your private road.
Yeah, they're a little.
Water. With a, I don't know, how far, Brian, how far is it from Logan's Ferry back to Lot 5? Do you have an idea?
50, 500, 600, about 600 feet.
They may need a hydrant.
Yeah. Is that a emergency management question or MAWC or both?
I think that's in the subdivision ordinance.
There is a hydrant right along the street, just off from the,
Yeah, I think you go
just down from the driveway, but it's just a matter of how far that is from that furthest house.
Right.
Yeah, and you might be okay. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be something. I guess this would fall under Murraysville. You know, the chief down there may have some opinion on this.
I know the taxing structure for hydrants is within 600 feet
Yeah.
of a hydrant. So if it's 600 feet, I would venture to guess it would require a hydrant.
Yeah, and you can't. Well, it's never clear as to whether that's as the crow flies or
Right.
I could actually lay a hose.
As they lay hose.
Depends who's arguing the point, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're. Brian, do you have anything else for us that you want to talk about? Obviously, you're not going to put any street lights in here.
No, I don't think we'll do any streetlights. I don't think we meet the threshold for traffic, and I think there was some discussion about traffic during the rezoning process, so I think we've sort of checked that box off. How about recreation? Because this is there a threshold and just money? That's all you want, Bob?
I think that's all we'd want, yeah.
Okay. So it's fee in lieu of on this, it's regardless of what size.
Well, I mean, you know, putting some sort of recreation over here would be
Oh, no.
be foolish,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
I
that's-
didn't-
what is it, $1,200 and some dollars per?
$12.50.
$12.50 a lot. And then, is this in a traffic impact area?
I might have to check the map. I'm not sure.
Okay, so there might be an additional fee, and that's paid
at time of permit.
The time of you building permits issued, so you don't have to upfront that.
Okay, so its recreation fee is
Is the
something,
recreation fee based on when the building permit's taken down as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
so if it's in a traffic district. And is that just based on lot,
Yeah.
number of lots or whatever that?
Well, when you
Well, it'll
take
be
down a
paid
building
when
permit,
the
you-
building permit comes in, so you won't have to be paid all at once.
Right, right. I'm just wondering about the threshold, was it, I didn't know if it was
No, it
just
doesn't
because
matter.
it's
I don't
one
think
lot.
there is
As long as you're in
whatever's
the impact zone.
Okay. I got you. I don't think I have any other questions that we haven't already talked about. I do appreciate you taking the time to go through this.
why are the lots pink?
It was just a color I chose, you know. Yeah. Should we have done something else, green?
Well, make it look prettier, yeah.
Fuchsia?
Let my kids highlight things. It wasn't take my kid to work week, so I did it myself.
Okay, nothing else, Brian?
No, I think that's good. I appreciate the time.
All right, thank you for bringing us in for an advisory before we get too far along.
Yep, exactly.
Thank you. Mr. Morrison, anything for other business?
No, sir.
I did have a conversation with the manager at the sewage authority, and they do occasionally get inquiries before they get to you. And I told them you want to know about those when they come through, so we know what people are thinking. And it might help if you followed that up with an email to Mr. Kerr and Mr. Schwarmer, and just ask them who is it that's making the inquiry. And so these people get a little cagey, and sometimes because they don't want anybody to know what's going on, but at least give us an inkling of what might be coming down the pike. We haven't heard anything from Tommy's Car Wash.
They've gone silent. They aren't even talking to their engineer.
Sounds like that's dead in the water.
Yeah. I think that guy was from Buffalo, New York.
The owner, or
Yeah, I think so.
well, they're all over the place. You ride around the country, you'll see Tommy Car Washes.
But what seems strange to me is you have 2 car washes, 3 car washes within spitting distance of each other. Yeah. With Sheets and then Get-Go. And,
I got
And
an
then down
inquiry.
the street at the,
well, that's another one.
yeah.
I got an inquiry. A guy wanted to buy the Chinese restaurant and put a car wash in.
Jade Garden.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, they're just building a fancy one over there on 286.
Yeah.
And Plum, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's actually Monroeville.
Oh,
Yeah. So, I don't know. There must be a lot of money in car washes and mattresses.
I pay $18 a month and go as often as I want.
Yeah.
No, what was that?
I pay $18 a month. I go as
Oh.
often as I want.
Where do you get the $18 one?
Over at one on 286, Magic Mike's.
Magic Mike. Oh, yeah.
Does a nice job. Go every week.
Is it touchless or is it brushes?
It's touchless. Or no, it's regular car wash with it. They do a nice
You can
job.
go. You can go a couple times a day, right?
You can go as much as you want.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Can't beat it for the price.
No, I mean, that's crazy. How the heck do they do it?
I don't know. Well, I think what
Because they
happens
rely
is,
on everybody not coming.
yeah, I think you get a subscription and then they don't show up.
Yeah.
Is that per car?
Yeah.
Yes, it's only one car. They
So
put
they-
a little barcode on your windshield.
Okay, that you can't just, it's not like an easy pass.
No, you can't.
you can't
switch
switch
between cars. Pull it off.
I was going to ask you to borrow yours.
Well, you can take his car through.
Make you feel better.
All right. Do we have anything else?
Nope,
No,
very slow.
very
We
slow.
adjourn.
Moved by Mr. Patrick that we adjourn.
Second.
By Chris. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh.